Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Also on talklawradio.com, YouTube, Facebook, and you can stream live on 930amtheanswer.com as well. Also podcasts everywhere. So we've been talking to Cory Flores, Realtor, about real estate, about her beginnings. And it helped me to remember that sometimes people get confused about what property is. And in law school, they told us property was like a bundle of sticks. I was going to bring a bundle of sticks, and I forgot. It would have been a great prop. Anyway, picture a bundle of sticks. Well, each stick represents a different property right. So you could have the right to sell the property, the right to use the property, the right to live on the property, the right to give the property away, the right to leave it as a bequest in a will, the right to improve the property by building stuff on it, the right to grow crops, the right to bury something there, the right to lease the property, to rent the property, to hunt on the property, to extract oil, gas, and other minerals from the property, to harvest things from the property. And you also have the right to the air, the wind, and the sunlight. So each one of those things could be a stick in the bundle. Okay, so let's get into your process for helping somebody. If I wanted to sell my house, what would I do first?
So we would meet. I would go, get your address. We'd talk a little bit. I'd ask you some questions because I want to do some research on the property. What am I looking at? One of the main things before we would actually meet at your house property, I want to see what's sold recently in there. What is the activity in your neighborhood and nearby, so we can just kind of have an idea. And then once I would get that information, let's say we meet a few days later, I would go to your house and have you show me around. Let's see, I'm looking for the condition, things that maybe need to be repaired. Just the condition mainly is what we're looking at. And then we'll sit down and I'll ask you, so what number do you have in mind? What are you thinking? Because usually, I don't think I've ever had a client not tell me this, but they know their neighbor's house sold for X amount, right, or their friend or relative. So they have a number in mind.
Mm-hmm. And tell us about aspirational pricing.
I love using that. Well, so we just came out of this crazy market that I don't think we'll ever see again. But so many people knew that they could price their properties at basically whatever price they wanted, and there was going to be a buyer for it, and you were likely going to enter into multiple offers. But that is not the case anymore. So it's so important to be priced correctly, especially in this market the first time.
So if you ask for too much money, then you might not get any people that are interested.
No, you might not.
And if you price too low, then you're leaving money on the table.
Possibly, yeah.
Okay, so how do you figure out the pricing?
I have a program that I use that pulls data directly from our MLS, and it just gives me an accurate number and the activity in the neighborhood, what's the average days on market for that area, and then what's the average price, so that I can present my seller clients with that data to show them, I know you want to be here, but this is what things are actually going for. And I like to pull within the last 4 months, 2 months, month, if I can, if there's enough data, just because we want the most accurate, most recent what is currently happening in that area.
So let's say that the Bear County tax assessor thinks that my house is valued at $250,000, but I really want and need $300,000, and so I want you to list it for $300,000. What are you going to talk to me about to help me get back to reality?
So the tax assessor, we always want our properties to be lower because that's not market value. So we want your tax assessor to be low because that's what they're basing your taxes on every year. And you should definitely protest your taxes every year. And then we're going based on market value. So what is a buyer willing to pay? I always get that question, how much is my home worth? What a buyer's willing to pay for it, really. And so I think that's why I really take the time and I'm so invested in my listings because I don't want my clients to leave any money on the table. And I want them to have just a great experience, sell it in the least amount of time for the most amount of money without leaving anything on the table.
Okay, and so what if you did have a house that was sort of undervalued? Are there some things that you can encourage the seller to do to increase the value a little bit?
Oh yeah, there's definitely improvements, but I get a lot of seller clients that maybe they don't want to spend any money on improving it, or they're kind of like, I just need this to sell. So in those situations, we really, I think it's important I explain like having your best foot forward the first time before we list. So there may be things like either getting a professional cleaning done. I'm really big on staging. And that is a service that I actually offer exclusively to my seller clients when they list with me at no additional charge.
Okay, so what does that mean? How do you define staging?
If we were preparing your house, okay, we're in agreement, we know the price we want to be at to list, then I'm going to give you my recommendations. We'll walk it and I'll tell you, look, buyers want a move-in ready home. And so I have to really get that across to my seller clients and say, you have to detach from this. This is like no longer going to be your home. So let's put all the extra away. We want it really clean, bright, and airy. Just a good feel throughout. I mean, like it's a move-in ready home because that's what a buyer's looking for. So we're going to want to pack up all the extras.
Wow. That might be somewhat of an emotional process.
Definitely. And, I know that it's overwhelming. I hate packing. I hate moving. And then you realize, you're such a hoarder. It's awful. But it's just something that has to be done. And I think it's also a good time to kind of okay, I've been wanting to tackle this pantry or closet, but I haven't. So it's the perfect time. And then I just kind of remind them, remember, you're going to have to pack all this stuff up. So definitely if you don't use it, if you don't want anymore, then
that helps.
Yeah.
Get started early.
Exactly.
And aside from getting rid of things, are there other things that you can do to help stage?
There's sometimes I'll bring in furniture. I know I have a lot of investor clients, and so the properties are usually vacant, which is nice because I can just go in and do my thing and stage. But I am people always say why don't you open up your own staging and stage for others? It's so much work. It is so much work. It's literally moving in and moving out, and depending on how fast the property sells, I mean, it's tough. So I don't want to do that for everybody, and that's why it's exclusive to my seller clients. But I'm invested in my listing, and I've researched the area. I know the specific buyer for that because I think that's so important to really capture that when you're staging. So
Okay.
know the buyer for that area.
And you know all the different parts of San Antonio. You were telling me before the show something about the downtown area. So let's go into that. What is unique about downtown?
Well, it's funny that downtown is a lifestyle. You want to be close to all the San Antonio happenings, I would say. And so there's different areas, districts, historic districts in that encompass downtown. And so I find a lot of like young professionals, people who want to Airbnb, but again, it's because they're going to an event. They want to stay in close proximity to whatever event function they're attending. So that's what I see downtown. And again, each area also has a buyer for that area. And so when I've staged my vacant homes, I know what buyers are looking for, and you really have to capture that because, again, downtown is a lifestyle. People, because it's still changing, and you may have not the nicest house next to you, and so it might take a little bit for things to all look kind of the same.
Okay.
So people who are open to that as well.
Sounds like there's a psychology into being a realtor.
Definitely.
You have to know people, and you said even working with other realtors, you have to figure out their communication style.
Oh my goodness,
and
100%.
how they like to work.
Yeah.
So try and remember a circumstance where you worked with a difficult realtor, or maybe not difficult, but just challenging because of the different styles. Can you think of anybody like that?
Oh yeah, I can think of a bunch of them. You just got to go with it. And I think that I've learned in this business, you can't take things personal. It's just not, and everybody is going through things, and some people just have a certain way of expressing it. But I'm always looking out for my client and making sure that should they call me, I'm able to give them the answer to the question. And I always know what's going on during the transaction. And then it's not like, that's a great question. I don't know. Let me find that out for you.
So how do you keep track of all that?
I have systems that I do, and I'm really big on email, and I kind of put all parties involved on the email and make sure we're all on the same page. And I learned that early on, that it's better to do that because I hate the back and forth of the lender said this, title said this, and I'm like, I don't have time for this. We're all just going to be on the same page, and that way we all know what's happening throughout the transaction.
Okay, good. Good to keep people informed. And a lot of the properties downtown are older. Yes. What do you know about older properties?
Well, I'm a historic house specialist, so I love historic homes, older homes. If it's in a historic district, there are rules that you have to follow with the OHP, the Office of Historic Preservation. And so that can kind of be a little challenging.
Okay, well, we're going to talk more about that after the break, but for right now, just know that we're talking with Cory Flores, who is the Styled Realtor 365 on Instagram and Facebook, and we're talking about real estate, we're talking about preparation, price, presentation, and promotion, and we're going to take a break, so stay tuned.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the 10 Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.